Welcome to Beauty and the Biohacker, where we explore the latest tools and trends in self-care, aesthetics, and peak performance to help you live your most beautiful life from the inside out. I'm your co-host, Rachel Varga, a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011 with over 19,000 rejuvenation treatments performed on thousands of patients.
And I'm Katie Moore, a self-proclaimed biohacker with 3 years of self-experimenting in the space of health and wellness technology. I'm on a mission to help you achieve success without sacrificing your health or happiness through my YouTube channel, Katie Type A.
So join us as we sit down with some of the biggest innovators in the health space, the movers and shakers of the wellness world,
and unpack some of the biggest secrets in the skincare and longevity space. We are Beauty and the Biohacker, and we're thrilled to have you along for the ride.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode on the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. We got the beauty side of things with yours truly, Rachel Varga, and the biohacking side of things with none other than Katie Type A. How excited are you for today's call with Melanie?
Oh, I have been stoked for this for months. So we are just so thrilled to have another female biohacker on the show. And we're going to get into all things biohacking, especially as it pertains to women today. So Stay tuned, guys.
So let's tell you a little bit about Melanie. So Melanie is an actress and also the author of What When Wine, Lose Weight and Feel Great with Paleo-Style Meals, Intermittent Fasting, and Wine. She's also the host of the top iTunes podcast, the Melanie Avalon Biohacking podcast, the Intermittent Fasting podcast, and New York Times bestseller co-host Jen Stevens. Melanie is certified as a wine specialist by WSET. How funny is this that actually all three of us have WSET training? What are the chances? She's also trained holistic nutritionist by the AFPA and is a member of Mensa International. Melanie developed the top iTunes app Food Sense Guide to help those with food sensitivities. And she currently runs 3 rapidly growing Facebook groups with over 10,000 members. And warm welcome to Melanie Avalon. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Rachel. It's so good to see you again. And it's good to meet you, Katie, for the first time.
Yeah.
And we were talking before the call, but I'm just really excited to talk about everything. This is a really good vibe going on here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. But first of all, okay, what's the deal? What's the drama? What happened with your Oura Ring? We all are avid Oura Ring wearers. How the heck did you lose yours?
I know. Once you're in the Oura fan club, you're just like perpetually in the Oura fan club. And I've been posting about this on Instagram and I've been shocked by how concerned everybody is. They're like, where's your Oura Ring? I mean, people are telling me that they're like dreaming about where my Oura Ring is. So, I mean, I'm dreaming about it. It fell off my finger for the second time, which is really sad. And what's really sad is this second one, I had like upgraded and bought the diamond one and I was like obsessed with it and it fell off. So
where did it fall off? Do you remember?
It fell off somewhere in between my apartment and literally all I did is I like walked in Target and bought cucumbers and walked out and somewhere there it I don't know.
Gosh.
You can, for those who have Oura Rings and for those who lose their Oura Ring, something I've learned, I didn't find it, but something I learned was that if you download a Bluetooth tracking app, you can try to find it that way because you can download these apps and it'll show you like every Bluetooth device around you, which is kind of shocking how many are around you. It didn't help me find it, but for others, it might help you.
Oh my, well, that's a great tip because, you know, these things can fall off and you can lose things. But oh my gosh, can you imagine being in Target and then like looking down and finding a diamond Oura Ring and be like, oh, what is this? And like throw it out. You're like, no, that is gold. Like, well, not really, it's diamond, but like seriously, oh my gosh, you poor thing. Well, I'm assuming you're getting another one pretty soon.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
I'm also wondering for the person who found it, like, cause you know, the inside of the Oura Ring, it's like, looks like a computer. They're probably like, what? Yes, Aura's actually going to send me another one. So I'm really grateful.
That's great. And you have all your sleep data downloaded, I'm sure, right?
Yeah. Especially since second time that it's fallen off my finger. I've learned it all keeps it in the app. And then when you get a new one, it just picks up right where you left off. So
Well, third time's a charm, girl. So
I know.
you won't lose this one.
I know. I'm so sad. I feel naked though. Like I'm so used to like, so I keep checking for it, but soon. I love Aura.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I know that feeling when sometimes like you are charging your Aura ring and then you like go to check your sleep stats and you're like, oh my gosh, why is it not on my finger? And there's like a momentary like panic and your cortisol rushes and you're like, okay, no, it's just charging. So I totally get the whole feeling of just like, it's so habitual to have it on your finger and your finger starts to like, you just feel like naked without it, as you said. It's crazy.
It's really sad.
Yeah. Oh, well, good news will come out of this for sure.
Yes.
So I'm curious because, just being a podcaster, we get to, interview people like you and it's so exciting and it's very conversational and super fun, but you've had some very, very big guests on your shows and some very like scientific, like brilliant, beyond brilliant people. And so I'm just curious, like, how do you mentally kind of prepare yourself, get yourself into that like zone before you go into any interview, especially with some of these like big players in the biohacking space?
Yeah, that is such a great question. So I will say I honestly exist in a perpetual state of fangirling. Like all of my interviews, I'm just like dying. Like it's so surreal that it's happening. Because I've had almost 100 episodes now and like almost all of them are like pretty well-established people. And every single time I'm just like full of just gratitude and surrealness and fangirling. But as far as the preparation, I've when I first started the show, I was really, really overwhelmed, like how to take charge of preparing and how to like actually, do it. Cause it's hard when you are doing, and you guys know as podcasters, like when you're creating your own content, your own schedule, your own everything, like you're the one in charge of like figuring out how to do that. So I thought I have my system now. My system works like really, really well. So I just implement the system and we're good. And it's basically that I usually the guests have a book or something. So I'm usually reading their books over a few weeks, if not over a few months. I'd like to take my time. And then I have massive amount of notes. And then I synthesize all of it into like a prep document I have two versions, like one that I send to them that's just the basic questions. And then one that's like theirs with like all the notes. And then for the actual show, I study up until the interview. And then I don't barely look at the notes during the interview at all. I don't look at I don't plan the questions or the order. I just drop everything. And I'm like, I just talk about whatever I want to talk about. And I found that that's like, it's made me less stressed. It makes me more authentic and natural. I literally just ask like whatever I'm thinking. So it's great. Yeah, I still get really nervous though, especially I interviewed this week Gary Taubes and I was so nervous because I've been like, he's one of the people that I've been following. Like his Good Calories, Bad Calories was one of the first books I read like on everything. So I was like so nervous. But everybody's been amazing.
Yeah. It kind of sounds like being on stage, like when you get on stage and all of a sudden, because I know you were an actress and I did a little bit of acting in my day when I was younger. And it's like you memorize your lines over and over and over again. And then you step onto the stage and you have this moment of like, okay, I just got to do it. And, I think for really skilled actors and actresses, you just go into that like show must go on, like kind of mentality. And it's almost like the stage fright just dissipates. At least that's been my experience where it's like, everything's sort of just like, you've studied so hard. It's all just kind of comes naturally to you. And it's just the performance. And like, no matter what happens, good or bad, like, you're going to recover because you're confident in yourself. So I think that's great. And yeah, that's awesome. I mean, do you do anything like ritualistically before a podcast, like light some sage or anything?
I have, that's a great analogy, by the way, the stage thing. Yeah, it is really similar to that. I have my ritual, but it's more just like preparation stuff. Like, so, cause I normally have like 20 pages of notes, but then the day of, I go through it all and I get like 3 or 4 pieces of paper and I just write like keywords down. So then I can just like look down and make sure I'm hitting all the topics. And I usually listen to the same Taylor Swift album while prepping and then some Juve Red Light. But yeah, I'm really happy that like the system is working, but it's just amazing. I'm just in awe.
So let's share some embarrassing stories here for a hot second. I'll go first. The first time I ever did a presentation was in university, and type A, I know y'all can feel this, that we do most of the work, right? When it's a group setting, a group program, a group project, we do a lot of it. So here I had done a lot of the research and compiling the slides, and I full on hyperventilated. And then fast forward about 10 or 12 years, this was the first time I was to get on stage and speak at this huge women's expo. And, you know, it got mic'd up. I had my hubby there, and he's a pro athlete, and he goes on stage, and he's had some of his events and competitions televised to over 200,000 people at once. Like, he's been on Paramount Network, all of this. And so he was there I was kind of freaking out a little bit. And I was just like, I need you to help calm down my nervous system. So he just rubbed my shoulders a little bit. And so I just had to bring myself out of that sympathetic state, because my fear from the first time I ever did a presentation to a group of only 30 people was I full on hyperventilated. So my fear of showing up for that event was the same thing was going to happen. And then I would lose my voice and literally not be able to talk. And that didn't happen. I actually crushed it, because when you're confident and you know your stuff, then it just flows. And then every other time I show up on stage, whether I'm talking at a medical conference, talking about different papers that I've written, it's just something you have to learn. It's something you have to get over. And what was that like for you, Melanie, coming on the show? And I led that ritual of kind of getting grounded. What's the intention of the message today? That's the layer that I really like to add to interviews. What was that like for you? I know that you've been on the Rachel Varga podcast also, and you had that same experience, but what's it like for you as the guest to experience that?
No, well, first of all, that I'm glad I have not had that experience where I, hyperventilate or something, because when you've had that, something really intense like that, it's so true that your brain is just anticipating recreating that. So, wow, I'm so happy that it manifested differently. And it's great. I love that you start the show with an intention. It's kind of like, it's the opposite, but on my show, I end my show always with gratitude. But I think that that's so important, and it really like brings the focus and the calm, and I think it's a really good thing. More podcasters should do that for sure.
I did light some sage, by the way. I might have I sent Katie a care package, a new sage bundle, and I pulled a couple of sprigs from it. So you guys didn't know that, but I take care of that stuff behind the scenes.
Thank you for doing the work for us on the back end. I appreciate that. So, Melanie, have you always been an extroverted person? Because I mean, you're an actress, and now you have a podcast, and you are a huge influencer. So, has it always been in your nature, or is it something that you kind of developed over time?
Yeah, I'm not an extrovert. I'm like the most introverted person. I'm ridiculously introverted. And people are always shocked by that. But yeah, with the show, I think actually the hardest thing has been, so I'm very introverted, and I'm also I don't know if you guys do the Enneagram thing, or if you're familiar with Enneagrams. I'm a number 3, which is very, it's the achiever, but it's really image conscious. So I really take everything everybody says about me really personally, which is not helpful when you're an influencer. And even with the shows. So I remember when I first started the Melanie Avalon podcast, and actually Intermittent fasting podcast. In the beginning, I would read iTunes reviews and things like that. Not a good idea, especially at the beginning, because people would put suggestions try not to laugh as much, because it may, especially being a blonde girl, I get a lot of feedback, like try not to laugh as much because it makes you sound young, or try not to like sound as young, or try not to like all these things. And at the beginning, I took it really personally. And I was like, okay, I've got to like do this. I even was like, I was editing out my laughs out of the podcast. And the thing I found most helpful was just letting that go. And now I'm like, I'm not doing anything for anybody. Like, I'm just going to be myself. If I want to laugh, I'm going to laugh. If I'm going to cry, like when I interviewed Rob Wolf, I literally almost started crying. I was so excited. And so I kind of just, I just have to like, let it all go. But yeah, if I look like an extrovert, it requires a lot of effort.
Skills training. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that too, that like you've kind of come to this place where you're so comfortable with who you are, in the media spotlight, that you're kind of able to just say, hey, love me or hate me. Like, you don't have to subscribe. I remember Dave, actually, I think it was the episode you were in very vividly. I remember because like, I'm also a visual person. I remember like walking in a forest and I was listening to this podcast and I literally stopped in my tracks because I had never heard somebody say it so eloquently. But he was like, hey, if you like what I say or you don't like what I say, guess what? Unsubscribe. It doesn't bother me. Like, I'd rather you not follow if you don't kind of agree with my messaging. I really want the people that like are going to take a lot out of this to be a follower and to really engage in this community. And it was really like, I was just starting my channel then and I didn't know anything. And I was reading the comments too. And I was like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. Why are the people saying all these things about me? But then you do reach this point where you're like, but my content is so valuable and I value myself and I'm not going to change. I'm not going to conform to fit a certain mold, right? Like this is what I have to give and what I have to offer in the world, and take it or leave it. And I think that's kind of where a lot of us end up in this space, I think.
I'd love to add a layer of showing up on camera, like actually visually showing up on camera. And yes, Dave actually said this too when we were talking about anti-aging, and he was drilling me on the aging process of the face and all of that. And he's like, if you don't pay attention to your aging process, you're going to end up in a diaper and a wheelchair. And aging does not happen naturally on its own in a very delightful way. You do have to take charge of it. So I love his kind of his way of doing that. And I totally agree with that. A lot of times I get asked, what's the best makeup to show up on screen? And I'm a huge fan of medical grade makeup that's triple milled, HT ready. And it's actually unfair when some of my clients have been using a specific type of makeup that I like to recommend next to somebody who doesn't have high quality HT ready, stage camera ready makeup. It's definitely an unfair advantage. So using good skincare, good makeup is really key. But that's probably one of the things that I hear a lot of. Right before this call, I did a coaching session for a lovely client of mine. It's like, Rachel, how do you do what you do? How do you show up? And showing up as like your brightest, most vibrant version with healthy skin, that's when we feel our most confident. But there's a lot of times we show up and we're not really feeling our best, right? Like right now I have a crushing headache. I was just T-boned recently and I'm not feeling my best, but I'm still doing something that I really enjoy. So that almost can override that. So I'm curious how you guys kind of get over that when you need to show up on camera, when you need to get stuff done and you're not feeling your best. How do you override that / how do you listen to your Oura Ring recovery so that you don't burn out? What are some of your tips?
Well, first of all, you got T-boned? Like in a car wreck? Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. You look amazing. And your vitality and energy is pulling through. So that's great.
Thanks to Biohacking to help me recover. I mean, I was at Upgrade Labs for like 2 hours yesterday. I did the cell trainer, I did the Vive plate, I did the PEMF, and some other things as well. So that helps me. But I'm curious how you, Melanie, if you're getting on stage as actress or with your shows, and you have big people booked, like the day after the T-bone, I had JJ Virgin and Teresa Di Pasquale on it. I'm like, I am not rebooking them. So yeah, how do you push through that sometimes when you kind of have to?
Sure. So I have a really complicated, nuanced answer to this. So when I started my Melanie Avalon show after Intermittent Fasting podcast, I knew the only way I could realistically start it for where I was in my life at that point, which was a time when I was really like not doing anything on camera, like no pictures. Like and it really came out of a lot of chronic health issues I had, and I was just drained, and I felt like putting on the whole facade was really draining to me. And I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to do the show is if it's not video. Cause I was like, I don't think I can like, I didn't know if I could show up on camera that often with that many important people. And then the stress aspect to it, again, being like super image conscious, and it's just like out of insecurities, my image consciousness. I just knew that I had to like be kind to myself. So Melanie Avalon Biohacking podcast, I do audio only. And that was hard for me because I knew like I wanted to be showing up and being on camera more, but I also wanted to like respect my energy levels and where I was at. So I just had to like accept that. And it was a really, really good decision. And I'm always seeing a therapist to like work on my mental health and all of that. And that's been really helpful for me, just, figuring out where I'm at. And so it's so interesting. Your question about like when you're not feeling well and then, having to show up physically on camera, whatever it may be. I have a really weird relationship with this. And, like I said, I call it the black hole. I went through a black hole where I didn't post like a single picture for probably like a year and a half. And then I slowly started coming out and slowly started taking pictures. And what I found was that when I did put on makeup and show up and do all of that, it actually really revitalizes me. And that was really confusing to me because I was like, I shouldn't be like my energy shouldn't be based on how I feel like I look physically, but I still felt myself being energized by showing up on camera. And I would talk with my therapist about this because she would say, Melanie, like, who feels more like the most like you when you're like sitting here in my office, no makeup, no nothing, or these pictures that you show me on Instagram where you're like all done up. And I was like, actually, the pictures on Instagram feel way more like me. And she was confused. And I was like, but I have to clarify. It's that when I put in when I feel like I'm putting on my best self on the outside, it's like it's presenting what I feel like is my true energy on the inside. Like everything is aligned. So it's sort of like a metaphor in a way. And it sort of like self-perpetuates itself. But I have like a lot of really nuanced, complicated, like weird thoughts about physical image versus like interior. And I do think like, what's inside is the most beautiful and most important, but I struggle a lot with this, with image issues, with energy, physically showing up, all of that. So it's a lot.
You're not alone. I do too.
Okay.
I do too. There have been weeks where I was like suffering from like menstrual cramps and I felt super bloated. And I was like, I'm not going on camera this week. Not doing it. I don't want to. I just don't feel like myself. And my fiance is like, okay, well, guess what? You didn't make a backlog of content, so you have no choice. Either you do it or there's no video. And like my life is my video. I love what I do. So I put like my boss girl pants on. I found my sexiest outfit and I was like, I'm going to go. I like did some binaural beats. I have all the biohacks. And that's really when you kind of tap into everything that you talk about or experiment with. Is like you use those things when you need them, right? And so I think the physical appearance thing is something that really, it's hard to like, just like, it doesn't go away, especially when you're in the spotlight. It doesn't go away. In some ways it gets worse. But I think sometimes it's just like, it kind of comes back to that act of just showing up for yourself. And the end product ended up being one of the best videos I made because I got out of my head for a little bit, just a little bit. I was like, you know what? This is not about me. This is about everybody else. And I'm sure that also goes through your mind, knowing how many people listen to your podcast. It's not always about you. It's about what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? How are you communicating with the rest of the world? Because they're tuning in every week because they need to hear from you. So when it's like a want and a need thing, that starts to happen. And I think that has been the catalyst for me to remember it is not always about the appearance. It's what I'm bringing to the world. And you're certainly doing that for sure in multiple ways.
Oh, thank you. No, that resonates so much. So 100%. And I think we were talking in the beginning how we were going to talk a lot about, like women and everything on this episode right now. And I do think it's like this whole other layer that women experience that men don't experience quite to the extent that women do, which is this very almost shocking dichotomy between with like appearance and, you know, how we have to put in like a lot of effort and energy into creating like the image that we often do present. I'm sure men have to, they have to do a lot too, but it's just so different with women. I feel like and hormonal fluctuations and so many things. So yeah, it's a lot.
I love where this conversation has gone because it's real. And since this last incident, before that, a year and a half ago, I was already dealing with a pretty significant injury from another crash. So this just has compounded. And what I decided to do was actually just be real and share with, my audience and everybody tuning in here that, just because you see a certain thing doesn't necessarily mean that that's a reflection of what's going on the inside. So sometimes when we actually share how we're really feeling, it can then inspire others to say and think, oh, I've kind of been feeling this way too. This person's doing this to overcome it. So that's kind of the golden lining that I'm doing. And it's really actually evolving how I'm showing up and helping people. It's like we have these amazing tools in our toolkit that when ish does hit the shan, like Dave says in his first virtual biohacking conference last year, then we know how to deal with it. And I think having that grace and understanding that women especially are hormonal beings, we are a little bit more sensitive to our environments and things like that. And to just kind of feel into it, don't ignore it, but really feel how you're doing. And sometimes sharing that, you never know, can actually help others. So kind of a catch-22. You show up when you don't feel your best, but you can share that and it might actually encourage others.
Yeah, no, I love that so much. And I think another part that comes into it is your personality type. And because you were saying like type A. So when you're like the type A, like perfectionist control freak, like I am, like letting some of that go and like realizing it doesn't all have to be perfect. So yeah,
life is messy, and guess what? At the end of the day, what do people want? They want authenticity because there's a lot of fake stuff out there. And they want people that are going to talk about health in a way that's educated and real. And like talking about your experience sometimes is the best thing because there's a great chance that other people are going through the same thing. Yep. And they think that they're on this lonely, isolated island. It's like, no, you're not. Like I went through it too. You're going to be okay. Yeah. And I think that the authenticity factor has been huge for me through like since the beginning,
just being real, right? Like I shared I wasn't feeling great. And what did you do, Katie? You sent me some flowers. And they're next to my Somavedic and they're still doing awesome. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, I just got a Somavedic. I haven't turned it on yet though. Do you like it?
That's actually good you didn't turn it on because when I first had it, I did. And I had Jarash, he's one of the founders of Somavedic on the show. And we're going to get him on B&B here as well. And he was saying that sometimes, especially women, they go through a bit of a detoxification process. So increase in headaches, maybe some GI upset. So what I did was I did turn it on. And the funny thing is I also did a test of everyone in my household. There's about 6 people in the house I live in. I also then did a test with my BioWell to see the improvements in our human biorhythms, our Joule energy output, our chakra alignment. This is Russian technology. It measures the amount of energy coming off of your fingertips. And everybody in the household had higher energy output within about 4 hours of having this thing on, the Somavedic. So I actually turned it off for a week because honestly, I felt like it was really powerful. And then I turned it on the week after that. So if you don't have it plugged in yet, that's actually great. I would give yourself a week to kind of adjust to the change in energy coherence within that 200-foot radius that you're in, and then plug it in.
Okay, wait. So when it's not plugged in, it's doing something already?
Yep.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a proprietary blend of minerals and precious stones that are arranged in such a way. It's woo technology. I love woo technology. And sometimes the woo technology is kind of just beyond what we can kind of comprehend. But it did provide measurable energetic changes to everyone in my household that participated in my very small inherent bias study. I mean, obviously, it's going to have that. Katie and I, we've done an episode on this.
Yeah.
But in the world of biohacking, I mean, we're kind of just naturally getting into this next question here. What are some of the top products and gadgets, we all can't live without? Let's just share this stuff right now.
I love it. Well, first of all, now I'm really excited. Okay, so really quick. So it's been sitting there for about a week. So like, let it sit there for another week.
No, I think that if it's been sitting for a week, I would plug it in now.
Okay.
And I'm very sensitive to things like EMFs. I'm very sensitive to electromagnetics. That's why I do those full day off grids. I have to. But I can't like really get out of the house anymore for that. So I'm doing more grounding outside. But it helps with geopathic stress as well. So geopathic stress is something that can be, it can impact us. Like say, for example, there's water running under your home, or on the west coast of North America, where I live, we're on a fault line. So we experience more geopathic stress. That's why these devices can be helpful, but they're also helpful for structuring water. So I'll let my water sit next to it. So charge your water. That's why I also have these like massive jugs I drink out of. My hubby and I, we actually did a blind taste test. We tested tap water. We tested our home filtration system water, and then we tested the Somavedic water. The Somavedic water tasted smoother and I liked it on my palate a little bit more. I could actually taste the difference in the water.
My goodness, I am so excited now. It's so because when it comes to the products and gadgets, the companies are sending me stuff a lot. So
I bought mine. Just putting that out there. I did.
Do what? Oh, you bought yours?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm really excited. They sent it to me, but so it's been sitting there. So okay, I'm excited. I'm gonna plug it in.
Plug it in, charge your water, track your sleep, all of that.
Yeah. So as far as the ones that I have tried that I can't live without, one of the most basic go-tos is the blue light blocking glasses. Those are just game changers. I can't imagine my life not using those at night. Like I just don't know how I would handle like the world. So I don't know. Do we mention brands, or does that matter, or do you care? I've used both Blue Box and True Dark. I know Dave. Is it Dave's company? True Dark, I think.
Yeah.
So I like both of those.
I use the amber tinted ones right at night.
Yeah. So I actually usually transition. So I'll use through Blue Box, I'll use like the clear ones during the day, and then the yellow tinged ones, and then right before bed, either the True Dark red ones or the Blue Box. They have a red one as well. So they're amazing. The Apollo Neuro. Do you guys have one of those?
I do. Yeah. I did a review on them. I love the device so much. It's so great for so many different things.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I had Dr. Rabin on the podcast about it. And it's so for listeners, it's a sound wave therapy device. You wear it like a wristwatch, and then it uses gentle vibrations to mimics human touch. So it mimics the state that's created from human touch, but it instantly, I say, sort of instantly stimulates your parasympathetic nervous system. And it has different programs you can run to address different issues. So I used it a lot for insomnia, and it was a game changer. I gave one to my mom. She has a lot of like stress and mood problems. And I mean, she texts me weekly to just say that it's like changing her life. So that's one of my favorites. The red light therapy. So I love the Juve devices. I pretty much have one going on. I like having one going on pretty much 24/7 for ambient light, just all day with the red, and then doing concentrated treatments with the near infrared from it. I do my sunlight and infrared sauna every single night. The chili pad, like having some sort of mattress cooling system for sleep. I mean, sleep is so important, and sleep temperature is so important. So I can't imagine sleeping without it now. Those are some of my favorites. There's a million more, but those are probably my like can't live without ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great list. I completely agree with you on the sleep cooling thing as well. I actually work with 8 Sleep. I had the chili pad for, I want to say almost 2 years, and then I upgraded. Once you go like into that field of just lowering your bed's temperature, you can't go back. It's like
anytime we travel and we don't have our like we actually flew back to California to get our 8 sleep. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, we had to figure out a way to get it out here. And I was like, come hell or high water, that's going in our suitcase. And I don't care what the TSA says, like, we're getting it out here because I live in Hawaii. It's so hot. I'm like, I can't sleep at night. Even with the AC, the ambient temperature, it only makes a marginal difference, right? So I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I really quick on the 8 sleep, because I tried them too, and I'm waiting for them to update it so that it doesn't, because you have to use Wi-Fi. Do you still have to use Wi-Fi for it? That's like the one stickler.
So the thing is, you do have to use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth to connect it, but then we turn off our router at night. So as long as you don't change any of the settings, it should be good to go.
So
we also tested the EMFs. Yeah.
Okay, this is crazy. Okay, because they sent me one, and it was great. But I was like, I can't use it with the Wi-Fi. And they're like, okay, well, they're like, you can just keep it. And, if we update it in the future. But I never tried doing it without the Wi-Fi. So, because it's still on my bed, I just don't turn it on.
Yeah, I would try
so
it.
It'll still work?
Program it to start at like whenever you go to bed, and then have your wake up time.
And still turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and then you can be this is at least our experience. I've had some people who have tried it and theirs was like a little like, well, my Wi-Fi is really, really bad, so it didn't work at all. And I don't know, but try it and let me know. And I can like walk you through it too. Like totally, I'm happy to like nerd out with this stuff with you. And I think the 8 sleep is just a far superior product, but I absolutely love it because it does sleep tracking too. So yeah, I can definitely walk you through that. But yeah, just set it up and then press play, and it should hopefully work. Make sure there's water in there though.
Yeah. Well, because I ran it for like a week. And I was like, this is great. Cause like the technology in it was really great, but I was like, I can't keep using it with the Wi-Fi. But I never tried just not using the Wi-Fi and seeing if it would still run.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
So many exciting things.
I know. I know. It's like, it's such a rabbit hole, isn't it? Like biohacking is like, you start with one thing and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I have 700 gadgets in here and I don't know where they all came from, but I guess I ordered them at some point. And especially when you're an influencer, people are just sending you things left and right. You're like, oh my gosh, like I have to say no to so many products because I just don't have the room for it, or it just doesn't seem like, it's that, there's a lot of fads out there too. And you kind of want to be like, I don't know, is this another massage gun? Okay.
There's 2 things I want to share here. Number 1, how freaking rad is it that we got 3 biohacking babes here sharing our favorites? And number 2, I want to talk about some of the free things. So my hubby's a pro athlete. He kind of has turned his nose up at biohacking for quite a while because he is just one of those types of people that is just so incredibly in tune to his body that he doesn't have to. So some of the free things that I do is put my feet on the earth every single day. If I feel like I'm stuck in that sympathetic state and my nervous system, high beta state's kind of running the show, feeling a little stressed out, just getting outside, getting in a little bit of exercise outside is really great. Having off-grid days as much as possible, keeping my cell phone on airplane mode as often as possible, turning off Bluetooth pretty well anytime I'm not using it. Christmas timer on your router at night. Those are all really key things. Some other free biohacking tips would be to make sure that you're getting natural sunlight as early in the day as possible. And also when you're designing your home, and we've recently done this, we've made sure that all of the lights in our home, kitchen, bathroom, living space is all halogen lighting, not LEDs. So when you're getting lights installed in your home, we have to think about this stuff because the LED lights not only impact our circadian rhythms and keep us in that sympathetic state and disturb our melatonin and all of that, but it also kills our skin. So the blue light reaches about 3 times deeper than the light that we get outside, the UVA and UVB rays, and also damages our corneas and our retinas and things like that. So from the anti-aging side of things, light is huge. But some of my favorite biohacks, I actually wear the arc pendant every single day. I love this thing. I just find it brings me a sense of calm. It structures water. I'm big with like the electromagnetic stuff. Obviously, the Aura Ring, Juve Light, I use every freaking morning with my Epsom salt baths, with my body oil. It's like I emerge from my bath morning and night, just like moisturized head to toe, helps with muscle release. Magnesium's great for sleep. Filtration in your home is really key. Make sure your water's filtered either at the sink or with your home. And yeah, there's just so much. We could probably do a whole episode on what our routines look like. But in specific, what are the 3 things, like each of us, just we can share here? I really love this conversation. What could we not live without? Melanie, you go first.
Biohacking wise, like,
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, though, that was an amazing list of hacks. The one free hack I would also throw in would be cold showers.
100% cold therapy. How did I forget about that? I do that like almost every day.
Like, no, I did cryotherapy right before this, and it was epic. But for free, cold showers. Okay, if I had to pick 3, they're probably things I already mentioned, but blue light blocking. This question is so hard. Blue light blocking glasses, chili pad. Probably Juve, red light. It's such a hard question. Probably those 3. How about you guys?
Katie?
How about Katie?
Guys, I'm like looking around my house. I'm like, oh my gosh. I can't live without, there's so many things I can't live without. No, but I mean, when push comes to shove, like, yes, 100%, like a sleep tracker of some sort. Like, I love my Oura Ring, but I use the Dream 2. I use my BioStrap. Just like having a sleep tracker, I think is really important because I like data and I like to measure those things. I think also 8 Sleep or chili pad, either some way to cool down your bedroom at night. And for my third one, I feel like I need something like really, really good. And I'm totally blanking. I mean, I don't know. I would probably say something that was more in kind of the like relaxation zone, because I am very high stress. I am like a high tense person. So I am getting the infrared sauna. And I think that is, I'm going to put that as like my future, like, this is what I'm not going to be able to live without because I know it's coming. That's going to be super good for relaxation for me at night. And I'm so excited to get that. So sauna is my last one. I think that's pretty good. Sunlight and sauna. Yes, that is. I think that's for sure going to be my third one.
You're going to love the sauna. Are you getting a like a solo unit or like a cabin unit?
Oh, I'm getting a cabin, 3-person with the chromotherapy. Yeah, it's going right outside of my biohacking patio next to my Vibe.
Awesome. Are you gonna like get the inversion chair in the sauna also? That'd be cool.
100%. I'm gonna add a trampoline, and then I'm gonna have my ice bath, and the ice will melt by the time I get outside because we know what it's like in Hawaii. Ice does not stay ice for very long outside. Let me tell you that.
You know what? This is funny because this is such a hard question for us to answer. And for me, being in the world of skin and rejuvenation for the last 10 and a half years, over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures, I did a trick question on my social media. I'm shocked nobody picked up on this. At Rachel Varga Official, the question was, what's my number 1 beauty product I cannot live without? And everyone was saying water, sunscreen, specific products that I've recommended for them. And it was a total trick question because if they'd been paying attention on the show and with interviews, people ask me this question all the time. What's your number 1 thing? It's the whole pieces of the puzzle. So the 3 things I probably couldn't live without.
That is a cop-out, Rachel. That is a cop-out. Come on.
Whatever. It was a trick question. I was really seeing who was paying attention, who's like the diehard listeners. But it's really the comprehensive 4-step routine. But anyways, that's a whole other topic. But the 3 things I probably couldn't live without are going to be cold therapy, just going into the ocean, getting that salt water. So the salt is cleansing my auric field. The cold is really helping to take me out of that sympathetic state into the parasympathetic state. It's great for muscle soreness and recovery, which is free. Sun gazing for the sunset. Again, that's a free circadian rhythm thing. I'll do my cold therapy in the evening. And probably one of my other the third thing I couldn't live without is when I'm sleeping is having the air purifier going, so that I don't hear my husband wrestling and things like that, and vice versa. And then we're always breathing in clean air, and there isn't that same accumulation of humidity on the walls and the windows.
I have to echo the air purifiers. If those count, if those are, yeah, I guess those are biohacking.
100%.
I have,
yeah.
like, I mean, you can see one behind me. I think I have 5 units in my apartment, and I have like a 1-bedroom apartment. What's really funny is every time they come in to check, like once a year or twice a year, they have to come in and check the air ducts or whatever they do. Every single time without fail, these are the air people who come in and check the air in like every apartment. And they always comment on the air quality in my apartment. They're always like, what do you do? They're like, oh, it smells so nice in here. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, these are the people who are like smelling the air all day, every day in every apartment. That's huge. I think that's on my top 3, actually. I don't know what it replaces, but yeah.
Are they all different purifiers? Are they all different purifiers, or are they all the same brand? Or
I have 1, 2, 3. I have 4 Allens and 1 molecule.
I had the molecule for a while. We left it with some family in California because we kind of figured they might need it a little bit more than us right now. Yeah. Wildfires were kind of crazy this time last year. So in the event that we have a volcano, VOG is going to be an issue. So I'll have to get one out here for sure.
Yes, Katie, you do need an air purifier because in Hawaii, there's higher risks of respiratory issues because of the ash. So, and also most of the houses in Hawaii are moldy because of the humidity. Yeah. So I just have they're like $140, the HypoAir germ defenders. I just pop them in the outlets in each room in my home. And, we're doing some things to upgrade our home a little bit, and it really helps with off-gassing. And they're not that expensive, but do have them in each room.
One other thing I have is I have the little charcoal bags full of charcoal. They're everywhere. They're like all in the kitchen, all in the bathroom. Those really help. I just remembered I have actually a Honeywell as well. So I have 6 air purifiers.
That's so funny that you mentioned the charcoal bag, because literally I just bought one for the first time the other day. My mother-in-law is visiting, and in her Airbnb, she was like, there's kind of this weird smell, but I can't really get rid of it. And so I was in my natural grocery store and I saw this bag of charcoal. And I was like, I think charcoal might do the trick. And so we bought it, and she's like, yeah, it actually worked. Charcoal's amazing. I mean, you can use it internally, externally. It's so great. No, not enough people are talking about charcoal. I love charcoal.
I love charcoal. Big charcoal fan.
I think we need to do a part 2 to this interview. I just want to be respectful of our time. We could just keep nerding out and yammering off for hours, I feel.
I think we definitely need a part 2. Yeah. I think there's just so much more I want to ask you, Melanie. And I think we kind of went off the rails, but in a very beautiful and graceful way. And I think this is what this is meant to, what's meant to happen. I believe kind of you can have all the questions in mind, but then sometimes it's all about how the conversation flows. And yeah, I'm really excited where we ended up, and hopefully we can do another one.
No, I would love to. Like I said, that's the way I do all my shows, is just let it go out, and then whatever we talk about, we talk about. No, this is great. I could keep talking to both of you for hours and hours. This is absolutely wonderful. It's so wonderful. It's so wonderful to connect with fellow women in the biohacking sphere, because I feel like we're a little bit misrepresented. We're misrepresented in the clinical literature scientifically. We need more focus on women in particular. So this has been really wonderful. I'd love to come back.
Yeah. So I think maybe we'll give a little teaser here. We're going to talk about a little bit more of that conversation of women in biohacking. We also, because we do all have training in WSET, let's talk about alcohol and our sleep next time. Some of our favorite biohacks for healthy aging and longevity. And I like how we focused on what can we not live without. How do we show up maybe when we're not feeling our best? And how do we, just sort of prep for big things? We did talk about the Oura Ring, which is pretty sweet. Melanie, do you have any final words? And then I'd love for you to share with everybody how they can continue to learn with you.
Yeah, well, first of all, just thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy that we connected, because now Rachel, you've been on my show. I've been on both your shows now. The synergy is just really beautiful. I love like interacting with you on Instagram and all the things. So this has just been really, really wonderful. Thank you for all that you are doing for everybody. I just think it's so important and it's so appreciated. For listeners, they can, my main hub is melanieavalon.com. The two podcasts, like I said, the Melanie Avalon Biohacking podcast is really my love out of all the things. It's like the thing that I just really, really love. And, my Facebook group, I have 3 Facebook groups, but my main hub is IF Biohackers. And I'm very present there. So if you want to like talk to me, and all of that, I love engaging with listeners, same on Instagram. So yeah, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm just so grateful for both of you. Thank you, Katie and Rachel. Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
this was a lot of fun. So everybody be sure to subscribe to the podcast here, the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast. Be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification. Also on our YouTube channel. Yes, that was a Tibetan bowl. That's another ritual I forgot to mention. I ring the bowl for the bell every single time. I just love it. It kind of sets the stage, opens things up, closes things. And this was just a super fun conversation. So learn about this episode and everything at beautyandthebiohacker.com. You can also find ways to connect with Katie and I one-on-one on the website also. And yeah, let's schedule part 2. Have a fantastic day, everybody.
Hey, thanks both of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into Beauty and the Biohacker today. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to leave a comment or share it on your social media account and we'll give you a shout out. And don't forget to head over to beautyandthebiohacker.com to check out all our episodes and our favorites page, where we include our curated list of products with special discount codes just for you guys. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter because we're sharing some exclusive content and giveaways you won't want to miss.